Hello everyone. Today I wanted to shoot a short video about horizontal hive. I have this horizontal hive for Langstroth frames here that I use. I have actually a couple of hives, this one and this one, and I wanted to show you the construction and just share with my experience about this hive. This hive is essentially a little bit taller than the standard frame, Langstroth frame, but I made it taller because I use these shims right here to move it up. And in this hive, this is basically the length for 20 frames. You can put 20 frames, and this is plenty for the brood box, assuming that a taller height. Yellow jacket. And this is actually, in many cases, this is enough for the honey and for everything, but if needed, it could be moved up as well, so we can put some supers like shallow supers because they're very light and expanded. First of all, what I like about this style of hives, I think the beekeeping is much easier because we don't have to lift up any heavy supers, right? So you just essentially open it up and you can move frames, inspect it and put it back. So it's easier for the beekeeper. It is also easier for the bees because when you do it horizontally, you are not breaking the body of the hive, so the body of the colony. So what you do, you just open up the roof and then you can cover it with canvas and access individual frames for the inspection, but you're not destroying the colony much, like in case of double deeps. If it's a normal brood chamber, you're gonna be opening it up and removing the top box, and therefore you break the colony in two pieces. In this design, we don't break anything. We can access the frames, open individual sections and pull out the frames, inspect it, put it back and have it done. That's basically another benefit. So not just good for the beekeeper, but it's also good for the bees. You don't have to lift up heavy stuff. Now, as far as the overall construction, I like it because it has a thicker walls, right? So the bees, they winter easier. Also, it's good to have this low profile because if wind or anything like that, you basically you don't have that height that can actually you don't tip it over the hive. Now let me show you a little bit how it looks inside. So this is what we have inside, right? So just regular inner cover, standard size, and this is one half of it, right? So we can put either a couple of these or two of those. So it's a 20 frame width, right? You can put 20 frames horizontally with one divider, but I like two dividers. I made two dividers because one divider is not enough. So you can have one divider just to divide the bees, and then another divider in case if you want to have like two colonies. So in this hive you can actually use two colonies for the winter. I need to stop my smoker, it's smoking too much. Okay, this is better. So you can use this divider to separate the colonies. Just make sure that everything is close here because I have a gap, right? My dividers, I have a gap for the bees to go from one side to another, because sometimes I put frames here in this section, and then I put a feeder here, and then the bees, they go underneath to the feeder to get food. If you want to divide 2 colonies, then this has to be a little bit longer, and you can also put some something at the bottom like insulation to make sure it covers the bottom, and the bees, they cannot move from one colony to another. Like if especially if you put it in the middle, it will be easier to do. Now you can see I made this shim, right? It's about 3 inches taller. Like if you look at the standard frame, this is how it fits. Like originally it was that low, but I found it's not enough room because the bees, they keep honey for the winter on the top. When they winter it in this configuration, they did not have enough supply on the top. So this is much better. And but what happens if you use it like that, you have to also deal with the bees building underneath. Or another method would be to use jumbo Langstroth frames, which are not produced anymore in the US, but you can make them yourself, right? So with those frames, they're a bit longer. They will have enough area to store honey and to have brood, right? Because the honey is here, right on the top, and then the brood is closer to the bottom. But I even use regular frames because it's not a problem. What bees do, they usually build extra comb down below, and it's a drone comb that you can remove, or mostly drone comb. Sometimes they even build workers comb, depending on what they need. But in any case, it's a good configuration. It's a flexible configuration because you have this bottom part that you can, if you want, for pest management, for removing, for example, mites, you can remove this drone larva, and you can minimize mite load on the hive. So now here I made this step and a little bit of a gap. So when I put my inner cover, right? So if I put my inner cover, see it goes right here. So I have about 3/8 of an inch space for the bees go underneath. So I can put my frames here, right? And then I cover it like that, and I still have, it's hard to see, but I still have some room for the bees to go above the frames. I like that setup because I can put a little piece of canvas on top to minimize the draft, right? So this is the frames, then I put a divider. The downside of this hive is it's a bit different work, I think. With the hive, first of all, it's very heavy, right? So you can't easily migrate the hive. If you want to do pollination or something like that, it has to be moved by at least 2 people, right? So the hive is gonna be very heavy. Another thing is that hive requires different style of beekeeping because you don't expand it by putting extra boxes on top. You have to insert frames. You can put many frames at once like you normally do with these boxes. That's what I found. It's better to avoid it. Like you do 2-3 frames when you expand it, and you make sure that the honey frame is always on the side. So you're kind of breaking the nest a little bit to insert frames, and then you expand it to the side, and eventually it fills in, and everything is fine, and then it becomes like a normal hive, vertical one, because then you have to expand it, but still you have wider area on the top to put extra boxes. For comparison, I have a hive next to it which I want to relocate. See how big it is, right? So it has 2 brood boxes, then it has 2 supers, then I put another deep, and then 2, 3, 4 supers. So it has 6 medium supers, right? And it also has 1 deep super and 2 brood chambers. Now if you think of how to get to the top, that's kind of complicated. I use a ladder to inspect it, and it's actually dreadful. I'm gonna be removing it. I don't know, the boxes are very heavy and they're full of honey. It's a lot of honey, but I will have to use a ladder to remove first, I would say 4 boxes, and they're at least 50 pounds of weight. It will be extremely hard. In this hive, I can put them side by side, and it only will be like 3 levels. So it may be like this, so I won't have to use any of, I don't have to use a ladder. So if I do it this way, so this is the advantage of having horizontal hive versus this hive. So the hive has 2 big entrances. I also made a couple extra entrances, but then I realized they are not needed, right? So I closed them, and I'm not using them because these 2 big entrances enough when we have major honey flow, just to open them and let bees freely fly. Also, some ventilation is provided by the inner board, same as standard hive. See this opening here, so the air can come out, and the bees also can take care of this upper portion. And then the important feature that I often use is extra entrance. Like, see this on the side? This is very convenient. This is another benefit of this hive, because if I want to do a split, I just separate queen, isolate her here, and then the bees in the regional section, they can make a new queen. So I can easily make splits. Once this queen is established, then I can remove this this, let's say 2, 3, 4 frames with the old queen. I can remove it and make a separate nuke. So this is the hive, and I hope this is helpful, like this introduction to this hive. And now I'd like to move these bees right here into this box. So I prepared some lemon balm grass, this one, this herb. It has very good smell. I'm gonna rub it really well inside, make sure it has this nice smell. Bees love it. It smells like their queen. And I'll open the other hive and quickly move the bees in here. This is quite an intrusive operation, and I'd like to do it always in the evening, especially in the summer months, because I'd like to avoid the rubbing situation, right? This is important because we don't want these new bees get rubbed. And I haven't opened this hive for a couple of weeks. I hope everything is good in there. Let's just check what's going on first and transfer them here. So lemon balm rubbed inside, everything is cleaned and warm. If it were cold outside, I would probably use a burner to warm up the walls, but right now it's so warm I don't have to worry about it. So I have to open this hive. Has some insulation. First I check if everything is good. Yeah, looks like it's warm. That means the bees are fine. I also use water, right? This regular water, because water calms the bees down as well, so they are not that agitated. When actually you cool them down and they're not flying much, right? So we use this a little bit. Now we open the hive and check what's going on here. Okay, so this is the colony. Smoke them slightly, and then what you can start transferring them. Right? So take the bees, put them in there. And when I will be doing it, I will inspect the frames at the same time. Hopefully they will not be agitated today. Always harder to get the first frame out. Frame number 1. So it has some brood, open brood, cap brood. It has lots of pollen, which is nice, and it has open larva as well as eggs. So the colony doesn't look bad. Smell is good, so we can transfer these bees in here. And just do same way as in the box, right? So we put frame number 1, then we go to the next one and put frame number 2. Again, I see lots of, oh, I see queen. The queen is right here. It's the queen. She's nice. Nice looking queen. We put them here, same way. Then we can just quickly go and transfer all the frames. Nice brood frame. A little bit of honey. I don't see much honey. I'll supply them with some honey frames. This is kind of later summer split. They were not able to collect honey, but I have honey, so I'll supply them with honey. So this is mostly honey frame. Honey and some pollen. So I can put it here on the side. Let's check another one. Because I want brood to be inside, honey on the outside. Now this one is more open cells. Well, it also has a queen cell, which is interesting. Maybe it's an old one from the split and they just covered it. I leave it in there and we'll keep an eye on this, but I will put it right in the middle. Okay. Check another one. Released. See, this was like 2 frames split, and now they grew a little bit, but still not enough. So I'll put these frames with comb, just empty comb right here. So that will provide some room give room for the queen to lay eggs. And this is probably enough based on this quantity of bees. Oh, this is another honey frame, so I can put it here. And this is mostly empty. It has a little bit of honey, but mostly empty, so we can put it here. Just transfer it the same way, but later I will rearrange it because they definitely don't need that much room. The colony is not that strong, so I'll need to feed them. But this is about it. Now we can take these bees right here. We have some propolis. So these remaining bees, and we can simply just shake the whole box. I usually put the box right here, and then the V-stick can go back. Okay, that's it. Let's transfer it right now. What I need to do is to cover it. Right? Cover it. So put this divider. Right? So we did the same way, except we moved one frame, this honey, to the side. Right? So we cover it like this. We don't need this anymore. Then we can put this, another divider here. Put another inner cover, and then we put this inner cover, and then cover them with a lid. And this is essentially it. Move it back to the original spot, maybe closer to here. And it's done. Okay, thank you for watching.